Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Just a quick one before we actually start the evening. We're due to kick off at exactly 7 o'clock, I think it's planned. The obligatory health and safety bit first. We have no planned fire alarm or anything like that tonight, so if you do hear one of those, most of you just come in through the exits are literally just the showroom doors that are open, and the fire exit and the assembly point is at the dealership entrance. For those that aren't aware, just through the back underneath and just out through where we have an accessories and clothing stand and the toilets. I just wish you all a good evening, and we've got a little short break until we kick off, so if I can just ask you to be patient for a moment. Okay. Right. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Richard Goldsworthy. I'm the General Manager for Mercedes-Benz in Exeter. I'd like to welcome you to our dealership tonight for the Exe Factor. Llewellyn has got a fully packed evening for you tonight for BEEP, which is the Business Empowering Employment Programme. I think we've got plenty of things going on. We've got plenty of guest speakers. I'm delighted to welcome again Jeff Parling, one of our Mercedes-Benz ambassadors, who will give you an inspirational talk later. We've got 2 more wins required, I think, from memory. Hopefully that comes through this year. There's also a business card charity auction later. There's raffle tickets going around, so please dig deep and give generously there. And I'd just like to welcome you all to here. Enjoy the facilities. We have plenty of staff on hand if anyone would like any information or would like any shown round of anything that we have. But without further ado, I'd love to pass you over to Llewellyn to talk you through the rest of the events. Thank you.
Evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us. It's lovely to see so many people here, some new faces and some people I've known, well, since I landed in Exeter, really. It's amazing to see you all here, and thank you to Mercedes-Benz for hosting this event and at this spectacular venue. I was quite tempted to buy the car in the corner there, but I was just worried about getting another black eye from the missus. As Richard said, we're live streaming the event on YouTube. Please share the link so we can spread the word about what we're doing here in Exeter, celebrating our fantastic city, and it really is amazing. You can probably tell I'm not from Exeter, but it's my home now, which is the way it'll always be. I'd just like to say thank you to Alex from BitPod for live streaming. I believe the Wi-Fi went down about 10 minutes ago. Alex was pulling his hair out, but he's settled down now, so that's all right. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Jeff Parling to the music stand.
Evening, everyone. Everyone okay? Okay, I've been asked to speak about my thoughts of Devon and Exeter in general, and also some just my little points about my career so far. And then at the end, if you've got any questions, please fire them out. I'll try and answer as honestly as possible. If I don't want to answer them because I don't like the question, I'll just say, sorry, I'm not going to answer that question. And there we go. To start with, well done to BEEP. Great charity, getting people in employment again, and it's thoroughly worthwhile. So please, another round of applause for them. Okay, so Devon and Exeter, just like Lou mentioned there, a great place. It is a great place. We all live in a place that is other Brits' holiday destination, so it's a pretty good start, isn't it? It reminds me very much of Newcastle, which is where I'm from. A great city, good countryside, beaches nearby, but a load warmer, and with a lot more going on. So it's a brilliant place. I think people are very proud I've been from Devon and Cornwall and Exeter, and it's a great trait I had. Like Lou said, whether either you were born here or you've been here a number of years, people are immensely proud to say they're, from this area. And it's just there's more and more growth and, fantastic support from everyone involved, with anything to do with Exeter, the chiefs, businesses, anything around in the area, as we can see from the turnout tonight. So why do I think the Chiefs have gone from strength to strength over the years and are hopefully going to go on to win the championship this year? The support from local businesses just help. Everyone's behind us, everyone backs us, and it's brilliant to see. But the main thing, I think, is cohesion, and I think that's the main trait of any successful team I've been involved with. You can have some brilliant players, obviously you need some talent. You can spend a load of money on infrastructure, on stadiums, on anything, but the team has to be cohesive. I think here at Chiefs, you've had a number of lads who have grown up through the academy, they've been here a number of years, and they really drive home how the Chiefs and how we play. Before I joined, I actually thought that the Chiefs just threw the ball around a lot and played some great attractive rugby. But actually, it is structured, and I think anybody that sort of steps into the team, because the structure's been built on year upon year upon year, knows exactly the job, exactly what they've got to do. And I imagine it's the same with any team anywhere, in business, in any sport. The main thing is you've got to get everyone pulling in the same direction. You've got to be cohesive, and I guess you can talk about how you want, but it's got to be that common goal that everyone strives for. Obviously, within the team, you're going to have great players. What makes a great player? The obvious two traits: talent and hard work. So you can be as hard-working as possible. You can put absolutely everything into it. But if you haven't got a bit of talent, then you're not going to succeed. There's a start, and that's honestly. I'd love it if it was just on hard work, but it's not. But the flip of it as well. You could be unbelievably talented, and you might do really well, and you might play at the top level, but eventually you will get caught out if you're not working hard as well. You've got to combine the two. To go from that sort of really good player to a really great player, I think, to sort of underpin those two traits is to be mentally tough. I honestly think that's the main the main trait that sets apart the best players I've played with, or the ones that maybe did well for a number of games, a number of seasons that have then eventually dropped off. The way someone reacts to a setback is key. Everyone's going to have a setback in the career, whether it's not being picked, an injury. The way they react is what I think marks a player. The very best players, they'll use any setbacks to think, no, that's going to drive me on. I'm going to come back a better player. If they're not being picked, well, I'll show him, I'll show that coach, and I'll come back. So that I think, I don't, again, if that might be the trait in business, if business maybe isn't going so well, sometimes you're going to get knocked back. Certainly with probably the rise of social media over the last few years as well for players. I think sometimes people read into it a bit too much because everyone could become a journalist. But I think how you react to that is so important. So my career, it's been defined, and everyone's career has been defined through success and through failures. And people remember, probably equal amounts, but I think you learn more from the failures. I really do. I would love to have gone my whole career just winning every single game. Wouldn't we all? That would be brilliant. But I think it's those failures that actually make you learn, and like I said, those setbacks is how you push on and really improve as a player. Myself and Jules is here tonight. We've played in finals. We've won grand finals, and we've lost finals as well. I've been in relegation battles and then also playing for championships. I've gone from playing for the Lions and having the huge success of winning a series in Australia to also being the first home nation to be knocked out of a World Cup in the group stages. Which one do I think about more? Maybe I'm a pessimist, but trust me, the being knocked out and that defeat, that chips away at me more than the win. I don't know if it's a good or bad trait, but to me, the losing always feels way worse than the winning feels good. I don't know if it should be like that, but those losses don't half chip away at me. Just so I give you an insight into those big losses and those big wins. The big wins were over in Australia. For me, the most special part of that was afterwards, in that change room afterwards, 2 hours, everybody in the changing room, celebrating together, the players, the management, really special. Feel like you've really accomplished something as a player, and all that hard work over what might be a number of years from your childhood has worked, and it's relief that it's paid off for something, and also just to celebrate with your mates. You know, we're playing a great game where people are just putting the bodies on the line for each other, and to have success really does matter. On the flip side, I remember being sat at Twickenham in the change room after being beat by Australia, and I didn't want to take my shirt off. Maybe it was a combination of I knew that was probably going to be my last game for England, and also I felt like a failure. I felt like I was part of a team that had let the country down. I sat there probably for two hours in full kit, just in my section of the change room. There was myself, and I remember Owen Farrell at the end. Everybody had gone. I think the change room had almost been cleaned. Couldn't bring myself to take it off. And like I said, that failure probably does still nip away at me a little bit. Well, it's like a counselling session, isn't it? Jesus. But I do think that, you know, like I said, every player will have those little things that have happened in the career. Maybe it's from an early age where someone's doubted them and they want to prove them wrong. Or you've had an injury and it's been a bad injury and you want to get over it. And I think, like I said, that's what really drives a player forward. Put those players in a team, be cohesive in that team with those teammates, and then you've got a great recipe for success. So, look, I've tried to keep it pretty brief, but I really would like to expand on any questions. Like I said, if you ask a really bad question, I'll just say, no, we'll move on. So please, fire away. Yep.
So, people like Rob Baxter often talk about how they achieve as a player then. What's that actually mean?
What does it mean? Yeah. And I don't think all the time we are player-led, because I think you can't sort of, what's the term? You can't let the Indians sort of lead the chiefs in a way. I think what does the coaches there give us the structure? They put that in place. You know, we know where we're meant to be at a certain place on the pitch, but then there's freedom in that, and this is the player-led bit, that if you see something, you've got to use your instinct. You've got to use your ability to recognise those gaps. If we think there's something wrong with the way we're playing, we can go to the coaches and say, look, I don't think this is working. They'll take that feedback. For myself and myself near the second rows, we'll meet to look over line-outs, our part of the game. We'll go and see Rob Hunter and feedback to him and say, this is what I think we should do this week. And they are very receptive to ideas. I'm sure if you came up with a really crap idea, then they'd say, no, go away. But they're pretty receptive, yeah. Who's my inspiration and why? When I was young, I wasn't a massive rugby fan, and a lot of lads were. I didn't start playing rugby till I was 12. I grew up in a football area. I just wasn't very good, although I still think I'm quite good, but no, I wasn't very good. You should see us when we warm up at the football. We are terrible. Anyway, different story. I'd always just wanted to try and do really well at whatever I could, whatever I was sort of putting my mind to in any sport, and that was from a young age as well. I remember when I was doing athletics, I was doing the hurdles once. I'm not very quick, but I got some little bamboo shoots and I set them up in the street. I figured out, I went online, or wherever it was at the time, and I found out how far the hurdles were away and actually set them up in the path. Neighbours were thinking, who is this little plonker here? What is he doing? But I actually learned that you take so many strides between each hurdles. I practiced and ended up winning the hurdles. And all these lads sped off, ran up to the hurdles, stuttered loads and then jumped over. But because I'd done my preparation, I guess, ended up doing okay. And I think then my inspiration, once I realised I was sort of okay at rugby, and the enjoyment, I really enjoyed it. I had a coach at the time who was with us from 11 to 16 and was just a great guy, and it was all about enjoyment. It wasn't about winning then. Sometimes he'd give the opposition our best players, if it didn't have enough. We would hate him. But what he did, he got that cohesion in the team, he got the squad unity, the spirit, he kept with us, and it was great. If I was going to pick an inspiration at all, I guess it would be my parents, my mum and dad, probably from not the greatest, well, not from wealthy backgrounds, and used to drive me around everywhere with just my taxi, would try and give me as many opportunities as I possibly could, so I guess I'd try and repay that back. Yep. It depends on the players. So you might get certain players in a certain position. I've been in teams where if they play the same position, they don't really speak to each other. I think you need to be competitive because you've got to want to start. And if you're not playing and you're happy with not playing, then you're probably in the wrong place, really. So you're doing that competitive edge. But also, it's not about you. It is about you in that it's your career and you want to play, but it's about the team. And I guess if during the week you're causing problems with the player who could your position at the detriment of the team, well, you're not a good bloke then. So you've got to stay competitive, and you'll get those points in training, maybe a one-on-one contact drill where you can try and prove your point. But then, once it gets down to the team training, you've got to buy into it. Yeah.
You're obviously a professional rugby player, and you work with the team day in, day out. Do you look beyond what you're currently doing to your future? Let's face it, you could have an injury which means that you might be out for some time or it could be permanent. What structure you put in place to help the players plan for the future and have a secondary plan if things don't work out?
That's why I'm here tonight. So who's going to give me a job in a couple of years' time? I'm not joking. No, we have help through. We have the RPA, our union. They'll have a player development officer that will work with different clubs. For me, he's more there as someone you can go and see. Some lads might like it if he's badgering you to come and do this, but I just want to be able to go and see someone if I need it, and he will help players. Each club will have their own way of doing things as well. We have good links with the universities here. So but this year we've done courses at the college. I know a policeman came in to give a talk to the lads last week. So it's more, a lot of the lads might have links and say, do you want, lads, should I get someone in to come and help? Even just to think, no, that's not what I want to do. It's on the player, aren't we? Look, we're all men. We've got to be realistic that it can end at any time, because that's true, and see what we want to do next. I think I'd like to stay in rugby and coach afterwards. So I've done my sort of badges that you need to do, but I do think that when I was sort of coming through the academies, I was playing with players who had also been involved in the amateur era. That makes me sound really old. And we were all promoted to go to uni as well. So probably seeing those lads playing that had also been amateur made us realise we needed to do things as well. Whereas now, because it's all professional, maybe the young lads don't look at the older boys and think, oh, actually, they were a carpenter as well. He was a sparky. He ran this business. But we do have opportunities. We have networking events, sponsors at the club you can get involved with. And like I said, local businesses down here are fantastic for the lads, for the club. There's normally great opportunities to get involved with. So there is help there. Go on. Yeah, either way.
You've spoken about the success of the Chiefs being around cohesion and structure and the failure of the World Cup last year, whatever it was. So was that missing, the cohesion and structure in the England team, or was it something else?
Yeah, I guess I think we maybe lost our identity a bit. So a few years before the World Cup, we were known as probably a defensive team that would work hard and just force teams into mistakes and go off that. Then in the year leading up to it, became very attacking, scored lots of tries. And then maybe in the World Cup, if you said, how did England play? No one would probably really know. If you look at the teams in the Premiership now, how do Saracens play? They'll kick chase really hard, try and win the kicking battle, have a strong set piece, pounce on opportunities. How do Chiefs play? We like to get the ball in play and go at teams and get possession. So I think you can sort of, how do the All Blacks play? They'll actually won't have a lot of possession when they get it. They're clinical, they'll all have good skills, but we just sort of lost that identity a bit, so possibly, yeah. Yep.
You're probably one of the senior members of the team. How do you find it when you play alongside perhaps under younger players like Jack Warner, who's captaining the team in one of the European games? How do you find that?
I think it's fantastic. You get these young lads in. I think maybe when you get to being an older player, the best thing you can do for the team is prepare yourself as well as you can and play really well. That's the best thing you can do for the team. There was a saying, an old coach at Newcastle who used to say, you look after you for me. So if you're looking after yourself and doing everything you possibly can do for that team, that's the best thing you can do for your teammate. But also, I think you have a role when you're a little bit older to help these young lads. If they've got a few nerves, just to speak to them beforehand. You'll have older guys, scrum half like Hayden Thomas, Will Chudley, Dave Lewis, speaking to Jack Maunder and Stu Townsend and helping them out. And that's the thing about somebody playing in your position. Even though they're in your position, once they're in the team, well, look, this is the crack. This is how I can help them. And I think it's rugby in general is quite selfless in that. Yep. Okay, I would say don't get scared about putting them into rugby. It's a fantastic game. The things you'll learn from just teamwork, from working hard. I just think it's a fantastic sport. Are there dangers to it and injuries? There are, but there are in anything you can do. And I do think, I don't like it. I think everything's sort of, with children, I've got some young kids myself as well. And if he moans about something, it does my head in. If I see parents wrapping the kids in cotton wool, like, just let them go and play. I remember like people just be climbing out of trees, jumping out of trees. Yeah, you might break your leg or something, but you'll be fine, trust me. And then just get him to. I'd say just get him to enjoy it. It's all about enjoying. Look, if he doesn't want to play rugby, well, don't force him. I don't with my kid. Whatever he wants, whatever he and my other kids want to do. It's not like I've got loads of kids, a big troop. I haven't. Whatever they want to do, then it's fine. I just want to give them the opportunity, and if they want to go for it, then I'll support them, whatever they do. When I was 12, what would my advice be? Probably the thing I've tried to do as I've got older and older. When I was 12, I really loved the game, didn't I? From 12 to 17, no pressure, nothing else. You're just playing with your mates, and it's great. And I still obviously love the game, but throughout my career, like I said, when those bad things, those bad points have happened, and I've let them get to me. I do, and other players will do. And it's maybe just saying to yourself, look, come on, just come back somewhere in the middle and just try and relax a bit when something's not going to plan. Yep. Yeah, I know the best player I've played with was when I was at Newcastle was Matt Burke, the Aussie fullback. He was unbelievable. He probably kept us from getting relegated for a number of years, and he just made everything look so easy. So much time on the ball. In terms of playing against, when you're playing, I think when you play New Zealand, there's these players who will get the ball and do something out of nothing, and they're obviously brilliant players. Someone like Julian Surveyor. But also someone, I think, like Kieran Reid. For me, I also thought he sort of was a great player to play against. He did everything well. I thought he knitted them together. I guess you could say the same of McCaw because of his win record. I think those sort of players I really admire. Yeah. Great question. What player have I learned the most from? I guess you get when you're growing up. A player I was in the academy at Newcastle coming through, and Johnny Wilkinson was in the team then, and probably just seeing how he conducted himself and applied himself every day was a great example. He'd be first on the training pitch, last off it. His life was rugby. Could have probably done with a bit more balance at times, maybe, yeah. But I don't think he wasn't playing rugby for the fame, for the money, for anything like that. He was playing rugby because he just really wanted to do well and be a good rugby player. And I think to have that sort of an example growing up was brilliant. Yep. Well, I've been told one more question. So who's got this pressure on here? Right, we've got two. We'll have two. We'll go against him. Two. Start over there.
Seeing as it's time for you perhaps to move on, you've broken the good rugby next year. When you look back, what would be the biggest thing that will take your time this year?
Yes, I'm heading off to Japan and Australia soon. I wanted to try to take the opportunity to my last chance. I'm pretty old in this game to go and do something different, and take my family to somewhere completely random, I guess. What will I learn from the Chiefs? That you can get a team and you probably don't have to have spend loads of money in one go in it. You can get this team and build it from the Championship, and it can hold on to its roots and its local, you know, it links with the local businesses and everything. But keep building and keep building, keep building, and do something special. The first team, I guess, that have been promoted in a long time and have gone on to now, I'd say, are consistently a top 4 team. I hope you win the league this year, obviously. Whereas other teams will probably use excuses of, oh, we couldn't recruit because we didn't know we were going up or not, or we don't get the same payment from the Premiership when we first come up. Whereas the Chiefs have never moaned about anything. They've known the crack and they've just gone quietly about the business and slowly built. And I think the club's been really admired from players throughout the Premiership from doing that. And I'd say another thing as well is also we're just working hard. The thing that the coaches always speak about are just putting everything on the field, and it's a pretty basic message, but it's probably the main message, isn't it? You can have all your technical details, but if you're not going out there as a player and as a team and just doing absolutely everything you can to win in the effort-wise, well then what's the point? So it's a very basic message, but it goes a long way. And we had the last question. Pressure's really on. Yep. Yep. This is a ridiculous question. No, we did win. Okay. I stewed about it, yeah, I did. So last week at the Roomworks, there was a cook-off between the Chiefs lads and the Exeter City lads. Bake-off, sorry. It was a huge fix. It was a shambles of a decision. And I've still not accepted the result. Thank you. Right, thanks very much, everyone. Cheers.
Just want to say thank you for Jeff for giving me the immense privilege for someone to look up to for a change. I'd like to seriously thank you, Jeff, for being here and for maybe this be your last event before going over to Japan, but hopefully we'll see you again. I'd like to invite Phil Husbands from Saltaire Business Intelligence.
Hi, everybody. Thanks, Jeff. I think a lot of what you had to say applies really well to the business world. And thank you, Lou, as well, for lining me up after such an eloquent international sports hero. It's not a tough act to follow at all, but I've got charts, so I'll be all right. Okay, so as Lou says, I'm Phil Husbands. I'm from a BI consultancy, business intelligence consultancy called Saltaire. So the first thing people ask me when I introduce myself is that. What's business intelligence? So I'll get that out of the way first. So business intelligence is about turning raw data into actionable insights, right? So by actionable insights, we mean information which is very closely aligned to what your business is trying to achieve. So this is information which isn't just information for information's sake. This isn't just information that's nice to know. So think about things like management reporting. This is information which has a direct relationship to the kind of things that your business needs to do, the kind of actions it needs to take, and the decisions it needs to make, okay? So it is technology-centric, so the kind of things that you'll see in a business intelligence project, things like data warehousing, data querying, running reports and analyses, these kind of things. But as I said, it's far more than just running reports. You know, this is a combination of the information that exists in the reports, but also, as I'll come on to in a minute, the business processes that sit around the reports and the kind of things that need to happen to those reports and that information to make it very, very valuable to your business. And the last point, it's a big business. Now, Saltaire has been operating in London, well, around the southeast and a little bit in the north for a number of years. But I'm from Exmouth, so this year we've brought Saltaire to Exeter, and it's why I'm in front of you today and why I've been working with Llewellyn. But business intelligence isn't really seen much in the southwest, certainly in the Exeter area. It's quite new, but outside of Exeter, it's very, very big. There's actually a conservative estimate. You read some other reports, and they put it anywhere up to like $25 billion as a global industry. So that's what business intelligence is. And you might be asking now, well, what's this got to do with me? Hopefully that will make sense, but why is it important to your business? There's many answers. Our good friends at Aquamarine Media proofread our slides earlier on, and you can't put this much information on a slide. I could have had another 3 slides of reasons why business intelligence is important to your business. So here's just a few. So competitive advantage. Okay, so this is what the first point is about. BI strengthens your competitive advantages. Basically, if you're not taking steps to move the data in your business through the right reports into positive action taken on those reports, your competitors are going to be doing that, okay? So there's all sorts of analysis. I've pulled out one headline there about how much more quickly and how much more accurately businesses make decisions when they've got the right information to hand at the right time in front of the right people, all this kind of thing. The next point is about big data. Okay, so we've all heard about big data, but of course, on its own, big data isn't doing much at all, really, other than giving you a bit of a headache about where to store it, how to get it, what to do with it, this sort of thing. So business intelligence is one of those primary things that you do with big data in order to turn that big data into something which is valuable and meaningful for your business. Similar or related to big data is this whole point about digital disruption as well, data enablement. So I'm sure everybody here today is familiar with, or at least heard of, the kind of changes in which, the way in which businesses operate in this day and age, and everything is so much about data. Okay, so again, business intelligence is one of those things that falls under that heading. When we talk about quotes like this from Forbes, where businesses need to embrace the digital disruption taking place, business intelligence is one of those things that you need to do in order to embrace that. And business innovation as well. You know, this is about seeing the things in data that's going to take your business to realizing what it needs to do next. And again, obviously that's aligned to these points around big data. And my last point there as well, and probably one that's very relevant to a lot of people here, is it's not just about the big data, of course. You know, before we had big data, small data was big data. You know, it's all relative. There was a time when just storing a few megabytes worth of data, that was a headache too, you know, but information technology has progressed to a point where that's not so much of a headache. But you've still got to do something with small volumes of data. And even if you're only a small to medium-sized business with only a few sources of data, the benefits that business intelligence brings applies to those too, you know, and even if you're a business that only has a few reports in the form of spreadsheets and stuff, you need to make sure those spreadsheets are actually telling you information that you need to know, and they're not just information for information's sake. So that's why business intelligence is important to your business. But there's a well-known secret to all of this. And it's that business intelligence projects and programs have a bit of a bad reputation out there. So for any of you to whom this is all new information, and I'm sure there's a few of you here, if you go and start to research business intelligence, one of the things you'll find straight away is, it's a bit of a headache. You know, business intelligence is, as it says, notoriously expensive and very difficult to implement. But here's the well-known secret. The reason for that is because this isn't just a technology challenge. Getting the right information is one step, and yes, you need to have the right technology to do that and be using the right data. But the other things you need to do are make sure that you know what information is relevant and valuable to your business. You need to know what questions you should be answering, and you need to answer that. You need to know that in the context of, well, what's my business trying to achieve? And once we've answered those questions, and we're confident that, yes, we have the right information for the right reasons, well, that needs to go in front of the right people, and they need to interpret it and apply it in the right way. And if we don't line up all of those dots, then value is going to fall away. And again, this is, I say it's a well-known secret. You know, the industry itself has been talking about this for decades, almost as long as the industry itself has existed. And large firms of analysts like Gartner call out the fact that there's far more risk and complexity in the non-technology issue. So you need to look there too. This isn't just a technology challenge. And this is where, you've seen our banner there, this is where our four-dimensional business intelligence methodology comes into play. As a consultancy, we're very, very different in the world of business intelligence consultancies because we focus on everything but the technology. So just to give you an example of what a couple of BI projects will look like. Typical example is the right way, which is taking a non-technology focused approach. So a tech-focused BI project will sort of start looking like this. Over the first 4 months, usual thing. There's three points I'm going to make to you on these slides. So these are the three things that are important. The first thing is sentiment. And by sentiment, I mean how people are feeling about this. Again, that all-important engagement with the people in your business. Frankly, there's absolutely no point whatsoever in turning data into reports that you're going to give to your business people if those business people are of the opinion, well, I don't see the value in this. I don't understand what this spreadsheet's for. I don't understand what this report's for. Or I do, and I don't actually believe this is the kind of information we need to be consuming. You need to get these things right. So sentiment's important. And naturally, of course, cost and benefit. These things are important too. So in the first few months, usual thing, somebody will have the idea, or somebody will recognize that, yes, Phil sounded like you know what he's talking about, so business intelligence might be something we want to do. And the project is roadmapped and it's planned. So sentiment's quite high. There's enthusiasm to do this. And, of course, costs start to accumulate as people engage on the work and money starts to be spent to do the planning. But, of course, at this stage, you haven't actually done anything yet. No benefits. It's okay. Do you want to make a toast? And then what happens? Well, what we do next is we start building stuff, and wham, the costs skyrocket. What normally happens here is that a business will have, in the planning stages, that have chosen the business intelligence technology that they want to use, and this stuff is seriously expensive, bless you. So there's this huge cost of entry. You've got to get this BI technology in through the door, and the sentiment around this, well, that skyrockets as well, because there's all this hype. You've read the sales literature, that's why you bought this stuff, you spent all that money, expectation is high, but of course, you're implementing a new technology in your business. It's going to take some time, so that build period, 3 months, to be honest with you, it's often a lot longer, but the slides aren't so wide. So, but still, we haven't delivered anything. There's no benefit yet. And then what starts to happen? Okay, well, after a period of time of building this stuff, we start to put the business intelligence solutions in front of the business. And this is when your business users, because you've been so focused on the technology and the tools, you haven't engaged with the people in your business enough, and you're putting these reports in front of them, you're saying, right, stop using your spreadsheets. You need to use these dashboards and scorecards now. And those people will say, well, okay, well, I see some benefit in that, but what's this all about? They haven't been engaged enough. So they're not really seeing the value. And then, of course, our sentiment starts to come down. That initial hype of this is going to be a great thing starts to be eroded somewhat, but your costs are still going up because there's still people working on this. So what happens next? Oh dear. Your benefit kind of plateaus for a bit. We get back into planning, and we think, okay, well, where can we make some improvements? And we do a bit more building, and we put those improvements out in the business. And okay, you're going to see some upturn in benefit. This isn't going to be for completely nothing, but it's still not what the people in your business look for. You kind of started to, and I hope this isn't going to be too indicative of me right now, but you're going to lose your audience. And yeah, it's not looking good, right? So there's another approach. Now, on the bottom axis there, subtly, right, we do the same bit to start with. So we think about it, we do some road mapping, but let's not get into any planning just yet. The next thing we're going to do is this review piece. So instead of just looking at the technology and saying, well, is this the right technology? Is this got all the features and the fancy things that we need to have in it? You actually look at your business and say, well, what are our goals? What is our organization trying to be? If that's what we're trying to be, what do we need to do? So what are the right business processes? And if those are the right business processes, what information do those processes need in order to be as successful as they possibly can? And when you know that, then you can look at what you need to do to deliver that right information. And very often, the answer isn't go out and buy the latest and greatest, very expensive piece of BI technology. It's use what we've already got in a much better way. And very simple tools like Excel and stuff, which a lot of traditional technology-focused BI consultants will say, if you've got Excel in your business, this indicates a real problem. You need to get rid of it and get onto something more modern. You know, simply not true. And you'll never do it anyway, and you don't want to do it. You know, do the best you can with what you've currently got. So that very high cost of entry drops a lot. And you haven't got all that hype around the new tool to contend with as well. So then you put those much simpler solutions in front of the business. And of course, in real terms, these are practical, tactical improvements to reports and information they're already using. So yes, they're going down well. You know, they're enjoying using them. Sentiment increases. People realize that they're not going to get their spreadsheets wrestled out of their clawed hands. And significantly as well, it's cost a lot less to get here. And from here, once you've so it's agile, right? You know, let's do this in baby steps, eating an elephant in bite-sized chunks. Let's let those solutions embed in the business, do a bit more building in the background, and then release another round. So, of course, hopefully this is all making sense. I told you I had charts. Why is the difference between these two things important to you? Well, clearly, at the end of 12 months in this example, at the end of a BI project, your benefits are much greater. You've spent a lot less getting there. And really importantly, this point about sentiment, that's really what makes the difference in your organization. Yes, you can make some changes and improvements to the reports and information in your business, but if you're not doing that in a way which is actually taking the people in your business along that journey and putting them in a position where they know not just where to get it, but how to apply it and how to interpret it, and creating some positive business change with this information, it's all for very little or nothing. So that's really important. But also, it's not just at the end of the project. As I mentioned a moment ago, these benefits come much earlier on. You know, that high cost of entry I talk about, well, if you're going to focus first of all on making sure that you know how to do the best you can with what you've already got, then you can stick with what you've already got for quite a bit longer. And it's the technology which is the most expensive thing in these things. So a bit more about how that applies to Exeter, right? And the kind of businesses that are represented in the room here tonight. So this might be a bit ambitious, but we think it's absolutely true. So we believe at Saltaire that Exeter has the potential to become, as it says, the first national centre of business intelligence excellence. And I'll explain what that means. So we've worked in many different parts of the UK, predominantly in the southeast, and a little bit internationally as well. And that means what we can tell you with absolute certainty is that because that huge global BI industry, which is predominantly or absolutely focused on technology, you know, it's completely dominated by the likes of SAP and Microsoft and IBM, you know, that hasn't descended on Exeter yet. So you haven't got the situation where when people like me and my colleagues from Saltaire who are here tonight go into an organization, there's none of what we see in these large organizations with big budgets to spend on this. There's none of the sort of investment bias towards using that technology. Definitely we need to be using that technology. That doesn't exist here. So because Exeter isn't, because businesses in Exeter aren't distracted by the lure of these tools which are put up on pedestals to be in the must-have things, we've got a chance to get in here, and we've got a chance to do the kind of things that I've been talking to you about tonight. We've got a chance to engage with, in those other dimensions, the people and the processes and the goals in your business to make some significant transformative improvements in how Exeter businesses use and apply information. So yes, as I said, we believe that businesses in Exeter can become highly intelligent, not because of the technology you're using, but of course because of how you're using it. So to get involved, I mean, obviously we're not going to get anywhere with helping to or enabling Exeter to become a centre of business intelligence excellence if we don't get Exeter businesses involved. And you can get involved completely free of charge. We've set up on our website a new community forum. So go to that address, it'll take you straight to the forum. I say it's absolutely free of charge. Get online, register, ask questions. You've got our contact details there. You can get in touch with us directly. if you're a very tiny business and you've recognized some of the things that I've been talking about tonight, if you've got spreadsheets and stuff, you think, I'm not sure why we spend the time we do generating this information, but it feels like we need to carry on, get in touch. These are the kind of things we can help with. We're at the very start of this. The plan is quite loose at the moment, intentionally, because we need to see how it comes together. But the general thinking is if over the next couple of years we can take even a relatively modest number of businesses, between sort of 50 and 100 businesses, and be able to say, right, look, a couple of years ago, they weren't really anywhere on this, and now here they are. They might still be using the same technology, but look at the kind of changes that have occurred in this business in terms of the relationship with the information. That's going to be a really good thing, and it's going to be a good thing for Exeter businesses, but also for Exeter, because I can tell you, all of those other larger communities of businesses who are spending the big money on the big budget, they're going to think, how the hell did we do that? So we'll have something really compelling to show the rest of the business intelligence community about how to do it properly. So yeah, that's me. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Phil. Phil and I got speaking after the last event in January, and he's definitely one of the nicest people to deal with. I asked him a question, he got back to me just about every time, pretty much immediately. Sorry? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'd like to invite James from NatWest.
Good evening, everybody. Exeter's finest. My name's James Court. For those of you that don't know, and I see some very familiar faces in the crowd tonight, I'm a business growth enabler for NatWest. I started working in Exeter in 1999, would you believe, having already worked in Bristol for about 4 years. And I remember when I started working here, I started in Bedford Street. Hands up for those who remember Bedford Street, before it all changed. So I've seen the city grow and develop, and I'm genuinely pleased to say how proud I am to be part of this fantastic business community. I genuinely believe Exeter to be vibrant, supportive, entrepreneurial, welcoming, and it's a really great culture in which to do business. So I think, in my personal experience, nothing more transcends that than the recent tragic and terrible Royal Clarence fire, when the response of the business community and the support that came out was something to be very proud of for all of us, I think, and that shows you how great that we are, and we should all be proud of ourselves. So why me? Why NatWest? Why am I speaking to you tonight? Well, just to tell you a little bit about the bank and our vision to become number one for trust, service and advocacy by 2020, make banking simpler for our clients, and we have some fantastic digital innovations that we're doing to make that go forward, especially our award-winning mobile app. And if you haven't tried it, you should. It's absolutely fantastic. And also to become more than a financial services provider. And my role locally, what does that mean? Well, my business growth enabler role means I get to help and support my local business community. And if I may just run through some economic stats with you for a moment. Small business represents 60% of all the private employment in the UK, with total employment numbers of 15.6 million. The combined annual turnover of SMEs was 1.8 trillion, 47% of all private sector turnover in the UK in 2015 alone. It's therefore imperative the right support is made available to businesses in this current climate to help boost productivity, confidence to take risks, invest and grow. That's so important. So, how are we doing that? How are we trying to support local businesses? Well, many of you will know about NatWest Boost. National scale support at a local level, giving SMEs access to support and advice when they need it. So our local Boost events are designed to be insight-led, covering a range of relevant topics. And I see many people here tonight that have attended. Give me a show of hands if you've been to one of the Boost events. You say fantastic. So we've covered topics and subjects like cybersecurity, branding, personal branding, your business branding, fast growth, scale up, digital technology, staff motivation, operational excellence, to name just but a few. They've also become a really fantastic place and very popular for networking in a vibrant atmosphere. Whether you bank with NatWest or not, we'd really like you to come. Boost also allows us to connect business owners locally with local experts. All of you, movers and shakers, people in the local community that we can help connect businesses to help support and grow. We can also connect local SMEs with Entrepreneurial Spark, and you'll see that behind me, the world's largest free business accelerator program, taking entrepreneurs through a detailed enablement program where we have an 85% proven success rate that everybody that passes through their doors keeps and stays in business. It really is fantastic. We also have new fintech innovation through Free Agent, an online mobile accountancy software package, and it's free for our customers to use. So if you're a man with a van, whatever you're doing, your business on the go, you can run everything via your mobile phone. What was that? Updates ready to install, Lou. Do you want to do that now? Not to mention our dedicated boots-on-the-ground team of local, professionally accredited relationship managers, covering sectors from agriculture through to property, healthcare, trading, anything from any kind of business you can imagine. We have people on the ground on our relationship team that want to work through your financial plans, your goals for the future, through our financial health check. And it also helps you look at your risk, the kind of risks your business face, and how do you undertake them? How do you work through them? How can we help support you? And we're really proud that we've got a good local team on the ground. I'd actually like to ask up on stage with me two really great local businesses that we've been so proud to support, the Exeter Cookery School and the Bear Trail. Please come on up. Jim and Lucy, how are you?
Very well, thank you.
Hands up who knows the cookery school or has had anything to do with the cookery. Look at the show of hands.
Wow.
That goes to show.
Yeah, well, I recognise quite a few faces, actually.
Excellent. Jim and Lucy, I'd just like you to tell us in your own words just a bit about your background, why you started the cookery school. I think it'd be really great for everybody in here to know more about yourselves.
Well, I've been a chef for many years, but in 2000 we decided to do the big move. Sold our house in the southeast, bought a caravan, put our 8-year-old daughter into it, and off we went across France in search of a venue for a cookery school.
That's the way everybody does it.
Yeah, we were told it's quite a brave thing to do. It didn't feel brave at the time, I must admit. It felt quite reckless, to be honest.
Well, I thought it seemed the natural and obvious way to do it, given how we worked. We didn't work together at the time, but given how we thought that it would possibly pan out, we needed the funds immediately to plough into the new venue.
Well, we found our venue down in the Dordogne, southwest France. Anyone know the Dordogne? Beautiful part of the world, lovely sunny Dordogne, where the winters are short and the summers are long. And many people ask us why we came back to England. Good question, but of course it's Devon, and Devon's different, isn't it? Devon's a bit like the Dordogne of the UK. So we set up our cookery school. We bought a 17th century farm with trees growing up through the roofs, no water, no electricity, no plumbing. We lived in a caravan for 2 years with our 8-year-old daughter Jenny. A 5-berth caravan. I can tell you it was difficult at times. She got thoroughly fed up with us, let me tell you. But yeah, it was good times. It was a big learning curve. But we converted our beautiful 17th century farm into our cookery school in the end, and we ran that for 15 years.
Yes, it was our little piece of heaven on earth. It was absolutely gorgeous. And we met some fabulous people, and they came from all over the world. They had to speak English, but there was no holds barred.
Yeah, if you'd heard my French, you'd know why they had to speak English. Absolutely dreadful, but Lucy, of course, was fluent.
Well, we made some lovely friends, and we went in, was it about 2012 or 13? We realised we should come back because we needed to come back. Our daughter had already flown the nest, and she went to London to live there, and we thought it would be much better to be a bit nearer to her. And it was just on the verge of the euro, etc., going a little bit wonky. So it was a really good time to move. And we came back to Devon, because we actually met here in 1980. So we lived here.
We met and fell in love working at the White Hart Hotel in South Street. Anyone heard of White Hart?
When it was a proper pub, and it still smelt of beeswax polish and slightly stale beer first thing in the morning.
The slightly stale customers, it has to be said.
So why Exeter? What made you choose this wonderful city?
Well, we knew Exeter. I mean, back then when we worked at the White Hart, I mean, back in the 80s, Exeter was nothing like it is now. I mean, it's just taken off, you know.
It was a nice city. It was a really nice.
Always a
place to
lovely
be.
city.
Yeah, but oh my goodness, how it's changed. It's like skyrocketed. It's so vibrant, and it's like the biggest village ever. People know each other. We know so many of you, and it's just fabulous. It's such an easy place to actually do business because people want to do business.
And support has been, you know, there for us, and you know, easy to find. I have to say, you know, it's been terrific the amount of support that we've actually had.
Yeah.
You know, not only from the public coming on our courses, but also from business and people like, you know, the NatWest, for instance.
Yeah, we've been with the NatWest for years anyway, so they were the obvious first place to go to, James.
Oh, thank you for saying that.
I remember when I opened my first bank account, I was 16. Why I was doing that, I don't know. I was actually I was actually as tall as I am now when I was 16. But I remember it was the branch in Wellington, and I went to see the manager because I had an appointment, and I turned up in my new suit and sat on a chair which was about 6 inches lower than his. And he sat at a big oak desk with oak panelling around, and it was the classic interview.
Sounds just like Mr. Mannering.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. Of course, nowadays you just go online and you open an account. But coming here, things are very different. And if you ever try to start a business in France, every Brit who's ever tried to run a business over there knows that, you know, you don't do it. Have you? Whereabouts were you? Oh, lovely, lovely.
That was Chamonix, everybody, Chamonix.
Very lovely, but yeah, tough.
Yeah,
But in France it is, and it often feels quite anti-entrepreneurial, you know. But they say that if you can do well in business in France, you can do well in business anywhere. Well, I'd say that, you know, Exeter just makes it so much easier than everywhere else anyway, you know.
Yeah.
And what does the future look like for the cookery school?
It's looking good. We've kind of hit the ground running. We started off with PR. We knew we needed PR. Because neither of us are at an age where we've got a lot of time to, you know, build those sort of relationships. But we found a tremendous PR company, and in fact, our business or our manager, PR manager, actually now works for us full time. So that's given us a good start. But yeah, it's looking good, and courses are increasing. Lots and lots of customers, and lots of business events and business breakfast. We did one for you guys. A few months ago. I'd say they're great fun, but I don't want to do too many because we get up at 3 o'clock in the morning, and you know.
Don't come clamouring. It's just one or two at a time.
But we do a great hot chocolate.
Are you feeling looked after?
Oh, absolutely.
Yes. Yes.
I mean, financially speaking, we knew that when we came to Exeter, you know, we needed that PR push. We needed, you know, to get a website up and running. The venue we've got is an 1830s Grade 2 listed warehouse down on the quays, running beautiful cookery courses, ladies and gentlemen. One coming up very shortly, actually. Have a look at the website, thank you. Always upsell, always upsell. But yeah, we realised we needed a financial kind of not just a push, but also a kind of a cushion, you know, a buffer zone. So immediately we approached you guys, the NatWest, and we...
Declan looks after you, doesn't he?
Declan Shanahan, yeah. And what a lovely guy, you know, a million miles removed from the Captain Mannering of the Wellington branch back in, you know, at the end of the 70s.
Yeah, the NatWest is not at all scary. They're really very approachable, and you get a sensible response. And yeah, it's a two-way conversation. It's really helpful.
Yeah, and it's kind of like having I mean, with Declan, we know he's watching our back. It's like having a sort of a benevolent spirit, sort of perched on our shoulder, you know, who's kind of always looking over our shoulder, making sure we're okay. And in fact, he rather alarmingly turned up in his lycra the other day down the quays. He was actually cycling there. He doesn't just walk around in Lycra. But
It's not the new uniform, by the way, is it right?
yeah, no, and he just dropped by, have a little chat, and made sure we're doing okay. And yeah, we feel very well looked after.
Thank you. Have you ever done a cookery class yet at the cookery school and you're a business? I encourage you to go along. It really is a fantastic place for a bit of team bonding. Thank you, Jim and Lucy.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening, Ben. Press. You on?
Evening, everyone. How you doing?
It works, it works. So Ben, tell us about the Bear Trail. For those people here that probably or may not know about the Bear Trail, or do know about the Bear Trail, I know it's a fantastic local business. We'd like to hear some of the reasons why you started it and how things are going for you.
Yeah, great. So the Bear Trail, if you haven't heard about it, we're still in our first year. And essentially, just to explain, we are a 10-acre site, which is an army assault course, but it's based around families. So what it's basically doing is trying to get good up to back old school fun. So although technology has given us a massive boost this year, we are essentially just trying to get people to run, jump, climb, and just go back to good old fun like that. Contrary to all reports, though, we've got no live bears yet. But yeah, so just go back. I was in the army for 5 years, served with the rifles, which are the in the infantry. And when I left, I didn't know what to do. So I thought the only natural thing to do was to try and enforce army stuff on everyone outside the army. But basically, I put all my money into buying the land, and after that, kind of ran out, which is always good. So we had an uphill battle with planning, as ever, but then we actually got good support from Mid-Devon from that as well. Then 21 out of 22 insurance companies said no. 5 out of 6 banks said no. But it was actually quite good. We had Nick, who's our relationship manager. He stood in a sheep field and said, "You want to do what?" So I explained my idea to him, and he said, "You've either got good vision or you're mental." So basically, the story from there was just trying to work out how to do business, because I've got clearly, coming from the army, you had no business acumen there. So what we had right from the start was, I think it was last January when Boost started coming.
Yeah, NatWest Boost events, that's right.
That came around for a really good time for me, because every single lecture which happened kind of came when I was trying to do something. So when I was looking at my branding, a branding lecture came up. So I think they've tailored it for me. So thank you very much. It's really, really good of you to do that. So we built the thing in about 12 weeks through sleeping on sites and other such things, 11 o'clock at night, dragging my wife there and things like that. So yeah, we had a deadline of the 23rd of July to open. Otherwise, we'd have missed the whole of the summer. And although we basically try and bring families away from technology, one of the major things which gave us a massive boost, which you can't plow 20, 30K into marketing when you're a brand new company, was ironically Facebook, the one thing that we're trying to get everyone away from. So we were trying to work hand in hand, and I think that we're trying to grow with the new generations where technology will just be embedded in their lives and they won't be able to get away from it. So just trying to balance that out. But yeah, it was an interesting start, but yeah, it was good for...
And you've been supported recently, haven't you, by Entrepreneurial Spark. Would you just like to give just a few words on how you found that to help and support you?
Yeah, so Spark was a good system. It's basically the nearest one is Bristol, and you have to go up there, deliver a 60-second pitch on your business, and you try and gain entry for a 3-month program where it's great for people like me who haven't spent 10, 15 years in business, and you basically get a bit of a holding hand. But not only that, they also challenge you. So every time I had an idea, they would then say, "What's the next step?" And bearing in mind I'd prepared that idea in 10 minutes, I probably wasn't ready for some of the next questions. But it was just a good environment to be around other people who have other businesses, the same sorts of problems, the same sorts of issues that you can't discuss all the time with your friends, family, and other people in your business. And we did a bear pit, which was quite challenging when you have other entrepreneurs and other people who basically just grill your business with no friendliness, just to try and find out whether you actually know what you're talking about. So, yeah, it was a good experience, yeah.
Feel stronger?
Yeah, it's good, yeah, definitely. Some really good ideas came out of it. And
Good.
people in completely different industries looked on what I thought I knew was the correct answer. And when someone challenges you in that way, it actually does drive you forward. So, yeah, I found it really fascinating.
And then what does the future look like for the Bear Trail?
Well, now our hair hopefully has gone out. We've got through to year one in about a month or so. We've got our first anniversary on the 23rd, which will be a colour bomb festival, which basically will get everyone out getting muddy and throwing things around. And we've actually launched this week our corporate, which we've had a first guinea pigs, and they absolutely loved it. But it's something different, you know. Everyone's got team away days, and what we're providing is something to basically get to know your colleagues like you've never known them before.
Sounds perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you very so much, Ben. That's two absolutely fantastic local businesses. Why don't you plug on in and meet them after? Just wanted to play you a very, very quick video, 1 minute, about some of our NatWest events.
I absolutely love coming to the NatWest Boost events. It's a really great opportunity to learn some valuable business tips and hence network with local Exeter business people.
I think they're really interesting. We also have great speakers, very well attended. Lovely, friendly, supportive atmosphere. Come along, try one.
You don't get much for free anymore, and to have an event like this for free to support the local business community is absolutely fantastic. It's always a really great turnout and everyone really enjoys themselves.
It was excellent from a perspective of business and growing your business. The key things that I picked up today is that communication is key, and also that your staff is your biggest asset, and you really need to make sure you look after your staff.
Really good topics, 3 relevant ones. Particularly enjoyed the bit about succession and the NatWest presentation on surviving in this brave new world with a family farm.
Loved the Women in Business event today. We've got some incredible women here, really inspiring, and so many as well. And the speakers that you have on were so inspiring and enlightening.
Thank you. I just wanted to end by saying, if tonight you've got business plans, dreams, projects that you want to take forward, you may have actually put them off. You may have even stopped believing in yourself. You may even think that you failed. Well, let me just encourage you tonight, all of you who are thinking of starting out on a new idea or a new project, to look forward. Thomas Edison, who created the light bulb, said, "I haven't failed, I've just found 10,000 ways that wouldn't work." I would love to connect with you tonight. We'd love to support you. Please come along to one of our events. Connect with me on LinkedIn, on Twitter. Google our events on there. Thank you for having me. All the best, Exeter.
Thank you, James. I've been to probably about 4 or 5 of them now, and sometimes with networking events, they start out really big and then get a bit lower in numbers, but James seems to be growing it every time I'm there. So well done to him. If you haven't been, definitely get along to it. I'd like to now introduce Phil Sampson from Sampson Hall.
Thank you very much indeed. Alex now has the challenge. I am the wanderer. I wander away. I never can be held, I'm afraid, behind anything. So there we are. What am I going to talk about? I'm going to talk about Isca. What do I mean by Isca? Well, Isca was the Roman name for Exeter. Exeter was the most southwesterly defended port of the Romans. And Isca became Exeter. I'm going to talk a little bit about turbulent times, how we lead in turbulent times, and how we have to keep Exeter in front, because Exeter is such a fantastic place to live. Problem with Exeter is it's a bit like that, a duck or a rabbit. And what do I mean by a duck or a rabbit? A lovely place to go on holiday, good place to die. But actually, there's so much more to Exeter. And what we've got to realise is Exeter, in troubled times, has survived the most amazing things. Barely touched by the recession, and hopefully barely touched by this man now. But we have some challenges ahead, don't we? Brexit, what will it bring? How will it work? What will it end up like? And even more challenges coming sooner than that. We need a good opposition, but we also need a good government. Which is which, and how's that going to turn out? We all have our favourites. I wonder what, and what will that bring to Exeter? The interesting thing about this slide is that every organisation, city, community has an environment. We have our own environment, we have our own culture, and we also have leadership in the thing, and we also have strategy. But we've got to make the most of what we've got. And in these troubled times that we're living in, we've got to actually lead, and it's people in this room that have got to lead this great city onwards and upwards. So what's the environment like at the moment? Well, Exeter's a fantastic place, isn't it? You can get to the beach, get to the malls, or you can go shopping. It's all here, isn't it? But how do we keep it here? How do we grow it here? When I speak to people in London and speak in other places, they go, Exeter's great. It's a lovely place to live. But actually, how do we make it great in terms of a lovely place to work too? And that's the strategy. How do we make sure we've got the businesses, we make sure we've got the leading businesses down here, and we make sure we keep those great businesses that we do have, because we do have some. And that is leadership. Julius Caesar sitting there. And we've got some great places to grow leaders in, haven't we? One of the world's leading universities here, Russell Group, but also recognised now internationally. We've got some great organisations. Probably it's one of the bravest councils around the place in terms of Exeter, which has kept the city growing, kept the city carrying on dynamically, supported the sport, supported John Lewis, supporting IKEA as it comes down, and supporting all the other great businesses around here. Phenomenal foresight and a real opportunity. And we've also got the groups, we've got a couple of them in the room tonight, chiefs, but we've got the businesses as well. Great sport, great business, great place. So how do we maintain it? And that's the real challenge. Strategy. The interesting thing for me is that we have such communities, such businesses, and such opportunity, but we actually live separately. And if we could get together in a way that has not been seen before in terms of corporate social partnership, living together for the good of the community, living together for the good of business, but also living together for the great city of Exeter, we could actually achieve something phenomenal here. But it means working together in a way that has been unparalleled anywhere else. We've got to get that community together, make sure that we look after it, make sure we treasure it and help those who are from lesser privileged places and those who are struggling in whatever they're doing. We've got to make sure that we get ahead with the public sector, that we get the public sector and those great educational institutions, also those great government institutions or local government institutions, so that they don't have to pay as much. So we can work together and bring the business together to deliver something that is extraordinary. And I think
we've got to keep Exeter in front. It's in front in rugby. It's in front in some of the businesses. And some of the local businesses that I meet up with are quite extraordinary in terms of size and scale, with global reach. What we need to do is bring them all together to deliver something special for the whole city, keeping Exeter in front, because Exeter deserves to be in front, at the frontier as it was when it was called ISCA. We've got the infrastructure, we've got the community, and there's no doubt about it. I look around this room, I look around the businesses, and it's a phenomenal community. We also have the local authority. So let's get together, create the strategy to deliver something that can be recognised, something that means people recognise Exeter, not as a good place to die, not as a good place to go on holiday, but a great place to be. So ladies and gentlemen, I leave you with that. ISCA, let's make it happen. Thank you very much indeed. Because of time, I've now got something else to do, so I'm now transforming into Mr. Beep. Mrs. Beep's over there, and she's the lady who runs it, my wife Sandra. But rather than coming up, I'm going to tell you a little bit about the Business Empowering Employment Programme before Julian Salvi and one of the people who've benefited from the programme will come and talk to you about what we've achieved. So what is Beep? We were fortunate enough to meet Prince Harry, but it's changing 16 to 24-year-olds' lives, those who are most disengaged and disenfranchised from work. And this was a group, the first group, and they were sponsored by the Rugby World Cup programme and the Legacy programme. We were very fortunate to be given some money, and we actually took 2 groups like this through, all of whom are now in work, bar 1 or 2. The great thing about this programme is it's 2 weeks long. The interesting thing, it also brings those things together in terms of business and the community. Because these people have come from places, they've come from places where they've struggled for whatever reason, and they need help. They need help to get work. And the lovely thing about this is the business community in Exeter steps up, and you've stepped up tonight, believe it or not, in terms of those raffle prizes, in terms of those contributions given, and in terms of your ticket, to actually make it happen for these young people. There they are on the way to watch one of the Rugby World Cup games. So you can help now, and you can really help, and you can make a tangible difference to local people's lives by contributing in whatever way. Fundraising, you can actually nominate Beep as a Charity of the Year. It's something local that you can get involved in. And it's that tangibility that makes it so real. Because you can come and watch these young people. You can come and see them at the beginning. You can come and see them at the end. When they stand up and give a presentation to everyone in front of them. Some of these people have never talked. And after 2 weeks, they will. They'll tell you their problems. They'll tell you what their issues were. And they'll tell you what they're going to do with their lives, which is quite amazing. You can mentor. You can come along and we'll teach you how to mentor. And we'll teach you how to do things. We'll teach you how to lead and mentor. And believe it or not, the challenges of leading some of these young people is phenomenal. You've led motivated people before. Try and lead someone who's 3rd generation unemployed. Try and tell them about work. Try and tell them how to make their way and how to create those opportunities in life, because you'll need to. And you can be an ambassador for the organisation. And I'm very pleased to recognise that there are several people here who support us and have supported us. And those people will be contributing to, sorry. Is that better? Thank you. We'll be contributing basically to the charity with prizes later on in the raffle. But now, what I'd like to do is hand over to Julian Salvi, who's here, and he and Matt Jess are both ambassadors for Beep, and he'll tell you a little bit about it before we meet one of the people who's been through the programme.
Cheers, Phil. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Unfortunately, my fellow ambassador, Matt Jess, is unavailable tonight, so I only have my pretty face to look at. We're usually better looking as a duo, but you'll have to put up with that tonight. He did, however, provide me with a testimonial, which I think perfectly sums up why we are so involved in such a great program. A little over a year ago, Phil and Sandra explained to us about REAP and the immediate impact it had on giving people alongside the Rugby World Cup the opportunity to further educate, learn, and give themselves a head start in the working sector. And this was driven by a bit of goal setting, a little self-belief, and some self-confidence. Beep, as we well know it now, today continues that legacy with assurance, giving people the opportunity to chase and in the future realise their dreams with the help of people like Kieran and Rob through Motivate and mentors from a wide range of businesses and backgrounds, and some of those are you guys here tonight. Matt and I have had the first-hand experiences with some of these individuals, which has been very eye-opening and rewarding. Like Phil said, I remember doing sort of day 2 on one of these programs, and Matt and I went in there and did a talk about dealing with adversity. And as Jeff sort of alluded to earlier tonight, through rugby, through non-selection, through not playing, through injury, we go through a lot of that. And being able to, I suppose, pass on some of that guidance to some of these kids almost was very rewarding. And Phil even mentioned it. We did a bit of a Q&A session at the very first point, and none of them actually put up their hand. None of them actually spoke. They were that sort of intrinsic that they were just not able to, I suppose, communicate on that basis. In reverse, you look at that 5 days of being on that side of the program and seeing how far they've come by the end of it is one of those rewarding things that you sort of just remember 3 days, just being able to get up and be able to confidently speak in front of people and just having that confidence to be able to do that. I know for a fact it was an honour for Matt to present their certificates at the end of their 10-day program, given how much work had been put into them, not only from the individuals, but the people surrounding, supporting every step of the way. And this charity truly outlines the will to succeed. Not only in the yeah, like I said, it truly outlines the will to succeed, and long may that continue, because it's a fantastic charity to be a part of, and both Matt and I are truly honoured to be a part of that as well from a rugby point of view. So thank you.
Thank you, Julian. Julian and so many of the other chiefs are really good examples of how the chiefs have made themselves part of the community in Exe. It's wonderful to see that. This is Matt Baker. Matt, I was part of the first BEEP program where it was called REAP, and I was actually a mentor. Matt was my mentee. I think they gave me a really easy one because Matt's an excellent guy and a really, really lovely guy. I just want to ask him a few questions in front of everyone so that you can get an idea of the impact BEEP is making. What was your life like before the program?
I think my life was before I got a job and went to BEEP. It was difficult getting into a job and knowing what I actually wanted to do long term. And obviously when I've been told about BEEP to come over here, I joined the course. They helped me realise what I wanted to do and kind of aimed down like what skills I needed to do and actually moved on from there. So BEEP actually helped me know what I was going to do and got the job which I wanted to do.
Cool. What did you enjoy most about being involved?
I think it's just meeting all the people at REAP and learning what I could do myself, which I didn't know before, and learning about myself and others as well, and gaining skills for myself and from others as well.
Cool. What are your career plans for the future?
Right now, I am a teaching assistant at St. Luke's in Pinhole, and hopefully in the long run, in probably a few years' time, whenever it is, to be a teacher, full-time teacher.
Cool. And if you could identify one thing that made the biggest impact, what would you say that would be?
I think the biggest impact that would be having you as a mentor. And
I was waiting for it.
And I think you helped me realize what I wanted to do, and actually find the reason what I want to do long term. It's helped me got where I am now.
Cool. And finally, do you think the Chiefs are going to win the Premiership?
So I know Jeff's sitting there somewhere. He's probably going to punch me in the face if I say no. But on a serious note, I think they definitely will win the games anyway. If they don't win, then I think they definitely will go down fighting. So.
Cool. Thank you, Matt.
Thank you.
I'd just like to invite Sandra. We've part of what I've done, Exe Factor's become its own beast, really. It's a social enterprise, and I've always wanted it to be a charitable business that makes an impact in the city. Ever since being here, meeting, I've known some of you since landing in Exeter, and I've always had a passion for making that impact and trying to do good. And I feel like hopefully this is the beginning of that. So I decided halfway through to give all the money that you paid for tickets to Beep, so that it makes that impact. So all the money that you've paid for tickets will help more than one person go through the program. So you've helped to change someone's life, basically, which is amazing. So the raffle tickets, before the raffle tickets were, the tickets for the event came up to £608. So just from Karen's amazing work and the other guys from Beep, they've raised £620 tonight. So thank you for that as well.
Thank you, sir.
Sorry?
That's nearly 2.5.
2.5 people, yeah, exactly. I wasn't expecting that much more than actually.
Royal Marines on it.
Yeah, the Royal Marines, you can't say no to them, can you? So I just want to give you a quick update. Part of my career path now, I'm launching a business-focused magazine. That'll be in September. I used to work for a business magazine, and I was quite sad to see that go. So I'm going to start a new one. So have a chat with me afterwards, I suppose, if you'd like to be involved. And I just want to thank you all for being here this evening. It couldn't be possible with any of you. I'd also like to thank again Mercedes-Benz Southwest for giving us an amazing venue and some really nice eye candy as well. I'd like to thank Matt Round from Matt Round Photography. He'll make the event not just about this evening, but for forever, really. I'd also like to thank Mark and Helen from Sound Mechanics, so that you can all hear me and see the presentations. And BitPod, who are live streaming the event, so hello the world, basically. And then our sponsors like Samson Hall, NatWest, and Saltair Business Intelligence. Putting together an event like this definitely wouldn't be possible without sponsors, so really thank you for that. I'd like to thank Jeff and Julian and Matt Jess who wanted to be here. Good luck for next Saturday. And lastly, I'd like to thank my beautiful wife for putting up with me. And also, none of this would be possible without her. So thank you.